this process can 100% be used for clients. This process, I think for a lot of you out there, because most of you are SEOs and marketers by trade, it's just good to understand these things, because I think the more well-rounded that you are as marketers, design, technical, creative, content, advertising, all these different things just make you more lethal, especially as we come into this age of AI. The more well-rounded you are, the more effective that you're going to be, because AI is going to allow you to do a lot more things and be a lot more effective. And the more that you can manage, the more money that your business is going to make, in all fairness. So again, this process is really for your agency's website. Again, you can apply this to kind of any B2B website. I wouldn't use this for e-commerce, but it's really about the core principles of what make a website do what a website does. So let's start there by talking about the role of your website, specifically your agency website. So your website is the last stop before conversion. It is the central place for all conversions. It is where everything takes place from a conversion point of view. Say conversion 3 more times, right? A lot of the times, I think back in the day, we used, when I say we, it was like us. We had like a phone number, you'd like contact us on Facebook, but we got rid of that because first and foremost, it's too much to manage. I didn't want people calling us and having caller answering services. And a lot of people will argue the other side of the coin. They'll be like, well, you should go and meet the consumer where they are. You should make it easier for them to convert. But the challenge with that is, and this is coming from a marketer who's tested all sorts of different conversion strategies, funnels, and what I call friction. Friction meaning how difficult or easy should we make it for the traffic to convert into a customer? And when you're selling something expensive, to be completely honest with you, it shouldn't be that easy. I'm not saying that you should make it difficult for them, but I'm saying that like you don't have to go to where they are, because if they're not fully interested, they're just going to waste your time. Like you don't want leads into people that you have to convince and explain to them what it is that you do and why they should work with you. You want people to come to you ready to have a conversation, right? And that's key here, because this whole system is built around the concept that we're not going to meet them where they are. We're doing all of that off of our website, and the website is for conversion. So no phone numbers. If they want to send you a message on Instagram or something, that's fine. But even that, like we'll tell them, hey, here's our get started page. Please book a time. You need to fill out this form because we need some information to make sure that you're a good fit for us, right? Because otherwise you're going to burn out your sales time, especially if you don't have a sales team. And we want to make sure that people are qualified. So keep in mind that that's the role of the website. This is the central place for conversion. So understanding that, understand where your website fits in the overall path to conversion. Many people are coming to your website with their mind already made up. Unless your website is killing it with SEO, which I would imagine that most people probably aren't here for the most part. Ironically, we're all SEOs here by trade, but we probably spend almost no time on our own SEO. And that's actually for a reason. For us, if you go to Ahrefs or SEMrush and look at the history of Webbers.org, we used to do so much traffic 5, 6 years ago, but we didn't get any clients from it because a lot of them were just tire kickers because of the SEO, and the role of SEO and the role of all these different traffic channels really makes a difference based on the industry. And for me, for agencies, the people that are searching for like SEO agency or SEO services, a little bit more of a tire kicker, a little bit more of shopping around, much more price sensitive, as opposed to the way that we teach marketing here, which is either outbound sales, advertising, or content creation, right? People are then coming to us with their mind made up, right? So that when you keep that in mind, it changes how you want to frame the messaging on your website, if that makes sense. Make a comment if that makes sense. Because if people are coming to you to convert on your website, what is the information that they really need? Like I see it a lot on websites, like people like defining what SEO is, right? Like the website isn't for that. If somebody is coming to your website and trying to figure out definitions or trying to figure out what it is that you do, they're probably not a good fit to work with you at that time, right? So just saying that, keeping it in mind, this is kind of the way that I view an agency website. It is the last stop in the path, right? Because so much of what we're doing to convince people to work with us is happening off of the website. It's happening on LinkedIn. It's happening with our ad funnels. It's happening through outbound conversations. It's happening at conferences, networking, whatever it is that you all are doing to generate interest in your business. The website's the last role. Now, of course, you're going to want to have the right content to support that and understand that. And I'm not saying not to create that other type of content, but we're talking about starting from the ground up here. We're talking about just like everything in the blueprint, stripping it down to the foundation, the nuts and bolts of what you need. So that's what we're going to focus on here. So some key concepts to consider, just also for context, you've all seen the Blueprint Trainings website because you all converted through there, but Webbers.org is our agency's website. I'll be referring to that. So number one, in terms of key concepts, simplicity is key. You don't need that much content on your website. despite what we as SEOs think and what we're doing for clients here, right? First of all, it's a tremendous amount of effort. Second of all, I think the SERPs just in general, we don't need to get into it here, is just eating a lot of content, meaning it's not giving it visibility. It's not generating as much clicks as it used to, just not as impactful as it used to be, in my personal opinion, also what our data shows. So what you really want to do here is use your website to communicate your offer and provide that seamless path to conversion. Next up, form versus function. So how many people here know about UX, UI, what those mean and the difference between them? Drop me some comments, raise your hands, what have you, just so I know how much to explain to you here. What that means in terms of UX, UX stands for user experience, UI stands for user interface. So those are like the two parts of web design when it comes to just the design portion, right? UX refers to the user experience, right? But it refers to literally kind of like the building blocks of the messaging, how people are pathing through your website. UI is the colors, the imagery, the fonts, all those types of things. So it's kind of form versus function, right? And I'm a big fan personally, again, like stripping it down and focusing on the form first, because messaging on your website is so much more important than how it looks. So many people get bogged down in, again, like color patterns and fonts. And I'm like, your content, like the messaging that you're saying is just completely off. It doesn't matter what you make it look like, because for the most part, like I said, design is also subjective, right? Like what you think looks good, your customer might not think looks good. Actually, like I said, I never do website design, but through my consulting company, I got it a big lead and they were like, we need a new website, just handle it for us. So I did. And one of the things that they kept on saying, so they're a very large imaging center in California. They got like 10 locations. And one of the things they kept on saying is, we don't want to feel medical. We don't want to feel medical. We don't want it to seem, and they were showing me some of their competitor websites. Mind you, these are like $50 million companies that are like, they're like old school, right? They're very simple. They're very, they're not overly designed. The text is very easy to read, right? And I was trying to explain to them, I'm like, yo, like your customers are all over the age of 45, 50, right? A lot of the stuff that you're doing is for people that are having health problems. They're usually older in age. Like they don't care what your website, they just need the information. They want it fast. They want it easy to consume. They want it easily navigated. So, I had to like really, really talk them off this cliff of, they wanted like all this moving around and, like really like popping imagery. I'm like, it's going to distract from the main point of this website, right? The main point of this website is to give people the medical information, whether you want it to look medical or feel medical or not. Like this is a medical practice and people need a certain level of information in order to move them to actually book an appointment with you. So it's really important to just focus on that. What will drive a visitor to become a sales prospect? And this to me is the most important thing, really, when it comes to anything. Kelly said the motion sickness website. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to anything in marketing, I talk about this a lot with my consulting and coaching clients, is that it's all about you. Simple recipe for more conversions, clear call out of the prospect's pain point, how we'll resolve that pain point, proof of resolved pain points, in a book conversation about the prospect's pain points. And then if we were to extend this, so like if you've been through some of our sales training, when we talk about sales training, building a proposal is very similar, right? It's a clear call out of the prospect's problem and a clear call out of your understanding of that problem, how you're going to solve that problem, results from similar cases of how you solve that problem for others, expected outcomes, results, traffic projection tool of that, and the pricing for that, right? So this all kind of ties together in like a very singular string. So like and then if we extend this, so that would be extending that out to the right for sales. If we extend this out to the left for marketing, right? So your website sits in the middle between sales and your marketing and the attention that you're putting out there. Everything that you see us talking about is all about their problems and pain points. We don't talk about SEO when we run funnels, when we do our outbound sales, when we create content. We're not talking about SEO because law firms don't care about SEO. They just don't. They care about getting more clients. They know that they need SEO, so they've kind of arrived at maybe the fact that they need it or maybe that they don't. So less is more. Now we're going to get into the actual 5. Does anybody have any questions on that? Drop me some comments. Happy to address it. Let me know if you're still with me. But now we're going to get into the actual pages that I recommend. So there's 5 pages here, really 6. Again, kind of get into the details here. And Brendan Hufford, if you go to growthsprints.com, I believe is his website. We'll take a look at it before the end of this. He has 2 pages on his website. He's going to do $1 million this year in revenue. So he takes it like, which is what I love to see here. I love seeing what I talk about being taken and adjusted to fit the needs of your own business this, but his website is a very clear call out of who he works with and the problem, SaaS customers, right? Then he throws a bunch of results at him and books the call, and that's it, right? And if you look at Brendan's whole process, like when we go back to here, right? He calls this out in his website very easily. But if you think about it, like he has nothing else on it. Why? Because he's doing so much marketing on LinkedIn. He is getting so much attention on LinkedIn. And like I said, they are making the decision to work with him based on the content that they're seeing on LinkedIn. Because again, if we look at this more from like a macro conversation about what's happening with attention fracture, what's happening with all these different platforms. If we were to go back 10, 15 years, all of us would be like, yeah, you Google something at the top of the funnel, you find an article, and then like over time you convert. It doesn't work like that anymore. People don't get their information from Google like that anymore. They just don't. And we're all SEOs here. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's a fact. They're getting their information and they're getting convinced about what they want to do on other platforms. LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube is huge for me, as you all know. Ads, all these different platforms are doing that education for us and then bringing them that website. And that's why Brendan's been able to generate $1 million with no content on his website. Really impressive if you think about it. So going to go through all these pages individually again, but like if you're going to have like a priority of pages and results, I would actually move this down, especially because a lot of you are going to be like, well, I don't really have any results, especially in this niche. So I'll address that because our agency website does not have a results page. And I'll talk about how we get away with that. And how we still generating a couple $1 million in revenue without having any public results or ever having being asked for public results or ever being really asked for referrals either or for references. And that's because of how we communicate and the fact that we're addressing their problems so clearly and showing such a deep understanding of their problem during the sales process and such a customized, tailored solution to that problem, even though it's a template that we're using, that they feel comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I don't care if you've done this for other people because you've shown me, right? The whole point of results, the whole point of case studies, the whole point of testimonials is to do what? To show that you are capable of solving that problem for them. That's the whole reason why they need them, or so many people push them. I'm not a believer in them at all. I think you can build a $100 million business without a single case study testimonial. I think they are, for certain businesses, very important, but for others, for us, you don't really need them. A lot of you are going to ask about case studies. I don't put them on my website. I think they're a waste of time. Nobody looks at them. They don't care unless it's from a very large brand. Morgan & Morgan is like one of the biggest law firms in the country. If we work with Morgan & Morgan, we'd have them on our website because that lends a certain level of authority and credibility. But having some no-name law firm that nobody's ever heard of doesn't really do that much, because why? People don't care about you. They care about themselves. So if you can show them that you know how to address their problem and solve their problem, that's all they really care about at the end of the day. So homepage, results page, macro conversion page. This is where a call booking page, not a contact page. Don't get them confused. A blog page, right? A micro conversion page and an about page. So going through, if we were to put these all onto a traditional marketing funnel that we've seen here before, right? Top, mid, bottom. Let's talk about where these pages fall in that funnel. So at the top, we'd have our blog, right? So blog content is where we're creating like guides, resources, longer form content, whatever you want to call it. Homepage is also kind of at the mid top of the funnel. A micro conversion page, this would be like a webinar page or like a free template page, something along those lines. This would be something that takes somebody from the top of the funnel and physically moves them in the middle of the funnel. Service pages, right? You'll notice that I don't have service pages over here. We will talk about that. About page is in the middle of the funnel. Why? Because people don't really care about you until they're going through the decision process, right? Like at the middle of the funnel, like, okay, I like what you have to say. You've shown that you're, solving a problem that I need. Let me learn a little bit more about you. Results page, same thing, and then macro conversion page down here at the bottom. So let's take a moment and go through each one of these one by one. Homepage, your most visited page, it should be treated as such. So clear key elements that we want to make sure that we have on our homepage: a clear hook and call out to the prospective clients, right? Who are we servicing? Law firms. Very clear. They see that in the head page. Summary of the service that you offer, right? So we talk about the offer statement. Has everyone here been through the offer design training inside of the program? If not, make sure you go through it. It's very powerful stuff. Clear call out. This is where like I suggest putting your offer statement is right here. We help law firms get more qualified leads through blended search marketing campaigns. You can, these 20 words here, 15 words, speak volumes. You can literally just see this as a law firm, as somebody coming to this website, and know if this is something that you want, if you're qualified, if we want you to even scroll down the rest of this page. Very clear, right? As many client results as possible. Again, we'll talk about that. Additional social proof, books featured on awards, bragging points, and then a footer with a call to action, which pushes your macro conversion that we'll talk about. So I want to show Brendan's homepage here too. We'll just kind of scroll through ours. So this is our agency's homepage again, how we can help. So when we talk about like what we do, right? The way that we frame this here, and again, you can all check out our website on your own time, webrist.org. The way that we frame this is in a way that we're talking to them, right? Like we could very easily say here, we do SEO. We help you get more leads with SEO, but we're calling it out in a communication style that's putting it, it's something that they resonate with. Constant struggle to generate qualified leads. I know, right, that law firms go through this because I've had 1,000 conversations with them. Even if they get leads, a lot of them are wasting their time. They're just making their phone ring, right? So when it comes to getting new cases, there's nothing more powerful than search marketing, but you probably already knew that. You probably already invested in it and at some point got mediocre results, right? And then we just continue to call out their problems. And then we go into the solution that we have here. And now, right now we go into the services that we offer. But you'll notice too that, you know, we don't have individual service pages on here. Like you're not just going to come to us and be like, hey, we want you to do content marketing for us. Or we want you to do link building for us. We're pitching you a solution. This is important, right? Our offer takes into account all of these things. Pay-per-click ads is something that, because they're so expensive in the legal space, we don't push it on people necessarily. We do make them do local service ads. Get into that another time. But we're pitching them a process. The reason is because if you have a problem generating leads, right? One of our core thesis points is that you struggle to generate leads because you weren't doing enough. Like you can't generate enough leads if you're just doing like SEO or content marketing as a law firm. It's too competitive. And if you search for car accident attorney in Miami, you'll notice that like traditional SEO results are all the way down at the bottom. So this ties into our thesis, which ties into our entire marketing platform program. So like we're not saying that like, hey, come to us and you get this. We're telling them that we do these things so that way they're not like, okay, but this sounds great, you can generate leads, but like how are you going to generate, how are you going to do it? You're just going to snap your fingers? We're telling them how we're doing it, but it's part of a larger process that we're getting for them. Client results, as I mentioned, kind of our process for what to do. I personally, people ask me about this a lot. Like I like having pricing on the website. I have actually have a pricing page up here that we can talk about a little bit later once you guys get into Q&A on this. I like to put pricing on here. People have asked about this before in the program because I don't want to waste time on a sales call. Like I don't want to have somebody get on a phone call and be like, this sounds great, but this is too much, because that's a complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. Like I'm a pretty good salesperson. I can do all the convincing in the world, but like I can't get you to change your mind about how you view money. I can't do that. That's not what I do here, right? So I like to put it on there. I guess the counterpoint would be that some people will say, well, if they see it before they get to hear my pitch, then maybe they'll get turned off. I give a shit. I don't care. I'm not wasting my time on somebody who's not qualified. That's just my opinion. You don't have to do it that way, but we're also very strong with marketing. We get so many leads that I don't take them all. I cancel probably half the phone calls that get put onto our sales team's calendar because we're looking for something very specific. So you don't have to do that. It's just our preference. This goes into, again, how we'll get you more cases. So again, we're explaining our process here, right? This is our process. It's not our service, it's our process. There's a difference, right? Like you'll see service pages that people have that they can do individually. I have no interest. There's no money in it for me to do just link building or just content marketing. And I don't want to work with people also who want to come to my website or come to my business and self-select what they think they need. I don't want to do it. Like you came to us because you have this problem. You didn't come to us because you need this service. If you need this service, go Google SEO agency near me and find somebody. Like, this is the problem that we're solving. This is what it costs. This is the expected results. Those are the conversations that I want to have. They're much more productive. They have a much higher close rate, and it's a much better working relationship too. Because somebody who comes in, and this is, I love getting into this with other SEO people, but like people who come to us and they're like, hey, we want SEO, or like we want link building, or we want content marketing. I'm like, great, who told you that? Why are you a lawyer who has no experience in marketing? Who told you that? How did you self-identify that that's what you need? Like, I'll tell you what you need. I'm the expert here, right? Am I coming to your law firm and being like, hey, I need XYZ, documents created for XYZ cases? They'd be like, no, that's not how we operate. That's not how we operate either. Like, you don't come to tell me I'm the expert, So it's a change of mindset for a lot of people here, right? In terms of how you position, how you sell this. But if a lot of you are struggling with like low proposal close rates, with people that are fighting back on pricing, I see it all the time in Slack. People are like, how do I charge more? Well, you start by demanding more, right? You start by commanding more. You start by putting together an offer that's a system and process that leads to a certain type of result, as opposed to a service that people self-select self-identify how they view that, what they and how they what value they assign to that service, right? I had a consulting call with somebody who's in our master consulting program here who does content writing. And the problem with content writing is that people who come in and they're like, I want content writing, those people that are coming in, they have a set price in mind that they're going to pay. If you're like, it's $1,000 per page, they're gonna be like, no, we're paying 250. See you later. We're going to somebody else. Right. It's the same thing with all this stuff. So this is why I was talking about like how you talk, how you communicate what you do and the problem that you solve is so important to the leads that you generate, to the clients that you bring in, and to how you can charge more and get more. More results, some, specific parts of legal that we work with, these deep link to guides that we have for them. And then, just like a call to action to book with us. So that's the homepage. Again, let me show you Brendan Hufford's. I think his website's still the same. So 3 pages, right? Again, very clear call out. We help take SaaS companies from 10 million to 100 million. Very, very clear call out of who, and also qualifying them too, right? So if I'm a SaaS company and I come to this website, I'm like, I saw you all over LinkedIn. So just like I put pricing, another way to do it is to qualify them with where they are. So he doesn't want to talk to people that aren't making enough in revenue because they're going to waste his time. They don't have the budget. They're not going to want to pay for it. They're going to waste his time with pricing and haggling. So he qualifies them by telling them exactly, the outcome. This is masterful, right? He takes the outcome and he combines it with a qualification statement of where they are in revenue. So if I come in, I'm like, damn, I saw them all over LinkedIn, but I'm only doing $1 million revenue. I'm not gonna book an analysis, And some of you might be like, well, you're wasting money. It's like, maybe, but you're damn for sure wasting time if that's not who your service is for, right? And then using our SaaS growth sprints framework, we help SaaS companies increase revenue from Google through short focused marketing sprints. Literally copy and paste a lot of this from our program here. It's crushing it. Yep, Rishi, I like this too. Free analysis, get more info. Results, get a free analysis, nothing else, right? So he goes into his process here, right? What he does, and then results, right? Testimonials, little thing about him, and then free analysis, right? So he's got his results page here that just lists out results, and then his macro booking page here where he calls. So we'll go through this too. So very simple, right? Brendan generated over $1 million in revenue this year from that very simple website. So you don't need to overcomplicate it, but you can see how the messaging and being thoughtful and mindful about the messaging is super key. So that's the homepage, obviously the biggest page here. The next one is a results page. So a place to showcase any and all accomplishments, but specifically demonstrating that you can solve your prospects' pain points, as many clients result as possible, traffic screenshots. We like to use more call dashboards now because we focus on calls as opposed to leads. Testimonials, reviews, books, featured on, awards, bragging points, and then set it up with a call to action. So if you go to our website now, you'll actually notice that we don't have a results page. We do with the blueprint, and let me compare and contrast this here, right? We do with the blueprint because, first of all, we get so many testimonials from people in Slack. It just makes it easy. But for Webris, it's really, first of all, it's a lot of effort to put them in. And second of all, we just don't really need to, because like I said, when you're focused on the problems that they're experiencing and being very mindful and strategic and surgical with the communication about how you bring them in, and then you do a proper analysis, they just don't ask for it. So we have the page designed. We literally have everything up there. We've got plenty of testimonials. We got plenty of case studies. So we've worked with over 100 law firms now over the past 2 years. So, but we just haven't put it up because, again, we just don't need to. But I purposely wanted to touch on this because I get asked about this so much, about like, hey, I want to work with SaaS companies or doctors, but I don't have the track record. What do I do? Well, what you do is you focus on what you do, and you focus on how you can help them and the problem that you can solve for them, because that's all they care about. Like I said, they only care about testimonials and reviews because they're not sure that you can help them out, that you can solve their problem. But if you clearly communicate and you clearly demonstrate how much of an impact that you can have, like through your marketing and through your proposal process that we talk about, through your analysis process, I promise nobody will ask you for it. But if you have them, throw them up. I'm not telling you not to, but I'm saying that you don't necessarily have to. So the macro conversion page, this is where all conversions take place. So for me, I don't like forms. I don't like contact forms. I think it's a waste of a step, because what happens with the contact form, they submit it, right? Even if you redirect them to a like a booking page after that. It's still an added step of friction. I personally just like to put a Calendly embed on there, HubSpot, whatever it is that you're using. And social proof, what to expect, FAQ. So let me show you our call booking page here. So this is our macro conversion page. Again, ready for more leads. We'll show you the roadmap to get more cases. Then underneath what we'll cover on the call, and then some FAQs. Very simple. Now you might be saying, well, what about like people falling off or not getting their information? Again, if you don't finish the booking, I don't care. But on here, we have a very specific set of qualifying questions where maybe you're using a form for this before. So, and again, the argument is, well, you're not collecting their email. Well, we are, because after they fill this out, we just zap that contact into our CRM, right? So like they're still getting into our CRM. We're still getting that contact information. But I also only want people in my CRM that have like taken the time, right? This is an expensive thing. Like most of our quotes come out between $8,000 and $10,000 a month. If you aren't motivated enough to fill out a few questions, I'm not going to waste my time with you. I'm just not, right? So few questions: name, email, phone number, website. Are you actively investing in marketing for your law firm? If you are working with an agency, how much time is left on your contract? How much are you currently spending? And then what are you doing, have done for marketing? Check all that apply. If we can show you the roadmap, are you willing to invest at least $5,000 a month? Right. Again, you can get this off our website, grab all these questions, highly recommend it. Because now when this comes in, it goes right to our CRM. We get emails. And if they check off, first of all, if they check off no, they get immediately canceled. If they check off 0 or they have 90 more days, we send them an email and say, hey, why don't you reach out when you're a little bit closer? Like, I'm not getting on a call and going through an analysis process with somebody who's locked into a contract for the next year. Then a micro conversion page too. So again, this is a little bit more surgical. A micro conversion is we run quarterly events, live events, webinars for lawyers. We just run that through. We run it through. I just literally give a presentation just like this for lawyers every single quarter on a micro conversion page. It's the landing page that you capture emails before they're ready to convert. So webinar, a book, a template, whatever that is. This is also what we use as a paid traffic landing page as well. Sometimes we'll build in a ClickFunnels, sometimes we'll build in a WordPress, or we'll use Unbounce sometimes too. So it doesn't have to be on your website, is my point, is that a lot of the times these pages, nobody actually sees them unless we drive them to see them there. So that's that. Okay. Mads asked, would you recommend serving foreign markets if you know a language where it's easier to rank for harder terms? So let's quickly go through the design process, then we'll go through the templates that you guys all have access to, and then we'll open up to questions. So the first step for us is copywriting. So I like Notion. I'll literally just kind of open up a Notion document, write a few headlines, write that subheadline, which again is just that offer statement. We help blank do blank by doing blank. I write that stuff out. Write out your process, write out your results, your testimonials, anything that you have in your call to action. Just get it into a Word document. Once you have that, then you migrate that over to Grayscales, which I'm going to show you in a second. Grayscales are just the UX process here. So then you can take that, copy and paste that into a template, and you can start moving those boxes around to drag and drop where you want to get it to. Then you get into the UI, aka high fidelity process. So that means color schemes, fonts, patterns, layouts, imagery, all that type of stuff. And then you move into development. We build in WordPress. We also have a lot of clients that we work with that are moving a lot more to Webflow. So getting somebody to take those designs from Figma, from XD, we use Figma, and move them into development. So real quick on this, just to drive it all home, right? So copywriting, I suggest you do it, but if you don't have a copywriter, you can easily help somebody out. Grayscales, I'm going to show you those templates in a second. Again, if you aren't comfortable working in a design software, which I strongly suggest you at least try to get used to it, because it's a very valuable skill to have as a marketer. You can hire a designer, same designer to do both of these. You just have to communicate with them. For us, I have 2 full-time designers. Not exactly sure where they are, to be honest with you. They're not in the US, but I found them on Behance. Behance, I love for designers. Behance and Dribbble. Instagram is also really good too. Just search, go to those platforms, Dribbble, Behance, Instagram, and just search for what you want. Agency website, SaaS landing pages. And these designers are always posting their portfolios, right? You see some designs that you like, you're like, oh, I like that style. They have their contact info, reach out to them. I don't like Upwork. I don't like Fiverr, because a lot of times people lie about their portfolios there. They just rip other people's stuff and put it there, and then you're stuck with kind of a crap designer. So that's how I find and hire designers. And then I just give them a test. I say, this is a website that I like. That's another thing too, is there's a screenshot, full page screenshot tool is called Full Page Screenshot, Chrome extension. look at websites that you like, take screenshots of it, save it to a folder, right? I do it all the time. I'm always on agency websites. I'm like, oh, this is clean. I like this. I screenshot it. I steal it. So much of design is creative theft, if you will. We're just stealing from other people. So what you want to do is find a designer. You know, nobody here is a designer. I'm not a designer. I use a designer. I pay my designer. Each of them, I think I pay them $2,000 a month. They're on retainer for full services. I think their hourly rate is like $25 an hour. So this is a way that we qualify without, you know, being too overly bearing. This process crushes it for us. I instill this with all of our clients. This page is highly, highly, highly impactful. That's the macro page. Rebecca said, I found the people who have the hardest time filling out the form are the people with least money. Absolutely. This is life, right? People's wheels are usually the best wheels too. So that's the macro converter, the blog pages. So you'll notice I don't have service pages in here. I'm not opposed to them, right? Because like, again, to a certain point, once you're doing a couple million in revenue and you can actually invest in your own website's SEO, and you can create very targeted service pages. So when I say targeted, I mean for us, for like lead generation services for law firms, or SEO for accident law firms, or pay-per-click ads for divorce, all pockets of law that we want to work with that do have a certain level of intent, right? And once you're doing a certain level of scale and you need to get from 20 to 50 to 100 to 200 leads per month, absolutely. I'm not saying SEO is dead. I'm just saying that I know where most people are when they're in this pressing an SEO before you're ready. It's going to cost a lot of money. It takes so much time, right? To rank for those terms is going to take a year to 2 years. And time, if you're putting all your eggs in it, as opposed to doing things like posting every day on LinkedIn, run very basic Facebook ad funnels, or just doing some sales. So the blog, though, right? This is the blog roll, which houses the blog post and then a blog post. Like the simplicity here, you can use those as service pages. The reason why I love pages is that you can create, it's just a blank template. You can create whatever you want on those pages. Write a service page, you can blog post, you can write an about page. It doesn't really matter, right? And then in the development process, you can just part of the website. So what I'm trying to communicate here too, which we get into it in just a few minutes after we get through these pages, is how you can actually build these websites and how you can adjust these things to make it more malleable. So that way you just need a homepage, really a page. And if you're really going to boil it down, just a blog post template. Those are 3-page templates that you can build a highly high converting website off of. So key element 18 font, anything too small is not too wide. And then just make sure that you have a call to action on those pages. Micro conversion page too. So again, a little bit more surgical. A micro conversion is we run quarterly events, live events, webinars for lawyers. We just run that through a presentation just like this for lawyers every single quarter, that you capture emails before they're ready to convert. So webinar, a book, this is also what we use landing page as well. Sometimes we'll build in a ClickFunnels, sometimes we'll build press, or we'll use Unbound sometimes too. So it doesn't have your website, is my point, is that a lot of the times nobody actually sees them unless we get them there. So that's that. Mads, would you recommend serving forms if you know a language for harder terms? I mean, for us, no, personally, because for us, for law firms, the market is where it's at, is ass backwards in a lot of ways. Like that's just like one of the only world where you can get sued for anything. And there's a lot of money in that, unfortunately. And for that means it's a good target for us. So we also I don't understand the Canadian legal process or the European. So for us, country outside of the US doesn't make sense. And also, just to be frank, like, you know, the US spends the most money. You know, I think that target any country as an agency, you're going to want to target this, because there's such a high pressure to acquire customers here, and there's so much money being spent flushed through that there's the most opportunity for you. And if you are in a foreign market, I actually think that's a benefit, because I think really rip down the stigmas that like you should hire American, like, to be blunt, like our team is more, because falling off, and we find that foreign talent pool is and I think that our clients have now opened up to the fact too that no matter where somebody is, it doesn't matter where you're born, really doesn't just matters if you're good at what you do. So if you're not in the US market, that doesn't mean that you can't target US based customers. Quickly go through the design process, then we'll go through the have access to, and then we'll have questions. So the first step for us is copywriting. I like Notion. I'll literally just cut up a Notion document, write a few headlines, write that subheadline, which is that offer, we help blank, write that stuff out, write out your product, write out your testimony that you have, and your call to action, get into a Word document. Once you have that, then you migrate that over to Grayscale, which I'm going to show you in a second. Grayscales are just the UX process here. So then you can take that, copy and paste that into a template, and you can start moving those, drag and drop where you want to get it to. Then you get into the UI, aka high fidelity process. So that means color schemes, patterns, layouts, imagery, all that type of stuff. And then you element WordPress. We also have a lot of clients that we work with that are moving a lot more to web. So getting somebody to take those designs, Figma from XD, we use Figma, and move them into development. So real quick on this, just at all whole. Right. So copywriting, I suggest you don't have a copywriter, you can easily help somebody out. Scales, I'm going to show you those templates in a second. Again, if you aren't comfortable working in a design software, which I strongly suggest try to get used to it, a skill to have as a marketer, you can hire a designer, same designer to them. For us, I have 2 full-time designers. Not exactly sure where they are, to be honest, but I found them on Behance. Designers, Behance and Dribbble. Instagram is also really good too. Search, go to forms, Dribbble, Behance, Instagram, and just search for what you want. Agency website. Some engineers are always posting their portfolios, right? You see some designs that you like, you're like, that style, their contact info, reach out to them. Like Upwork, I don't like Fiverr because a lot of times people lie about those there. They just rip other people's stuff and put it, you're stuck with kind of a crap designer. So that's how I find in hires. And then I'm a test. I say, this is a website that's another thing too. A screenshot, full page screenshot tool is called that, Chrome extension. Look at websites that you like, take screenshots, save it to a full all the time. I'm always on agency websites. I'm like, clean, I like this. I screenshot it, I steal. Much of design is from other people. So my designer, I think I pay them $2,000 a month, service dollars an hour. To do per page, you're probably looking at like 10 hours per page. So like $250 per page, these things. And if you have the copy done, and if you have the right direction for them, that will get sped up. And then after that, have those done, which I'll show you in a second what that looks like. You just need a WordPress developer or whatever platform you're going to build on. That you can find on Upwork. You can find WordPress developers probably inside of our program here. How to build them, how to find them. Let's move over now to the website mockups that you guys have access to. So you guys have to this file. Again, the UX grayscales. I'm going to modify them in a second. But there's a desktop, the homepage, a desktop, mobile, blog page, blog post page, macro conversion page, and then a process page too if you want to get into that. So again, if you want to modify these things, it's literally drag and drop. So like if I come back to our website here, this over just to show you what this might look like. Right. So the point is that like the stuff is easy to modify. It's literally drag. You don't have to be a designer to do it, but like the more that you can get on this, the easier and really the cheap. When I really that old up design. So process, results, again, all this stuff too. Like this is just layouts and mockups. When you want to mod this stuff to a designer, you just really drop in. Let me see if I have it in here actually. So Kagan just came out with a. I love the design. So I screenshot. So like if let's say this is a book landing page. Let's say this was a home page, right? A lot of the times what I'll do is I can like double click in here and I can go to crop, right? So I can like crop, for example, just bear with. If I like really like a section in here, what I'll do is like, let's say these here. If I'm like, hey, this style of testimonial here, right? If this was like a results screenshot, I'll literally just like drop it over here. And then what is that? You can leave a comment here. Like designer, you can tag them is how I like the Notion doc, a lot of Loom videos too, just to kind of, manipulate and control my designers. So does that make sense, bro? Just real quick, drop them in here. I'm going to answer these questions in a second. I know there's a bunch that came in. I just want to kind of sprint through this process here. Again, this inside of school, you can also just comment in Slack if you need help getting access to it, but you all have access. So these are the grayscales, right? And then this is our agent's file inside, inside of Figma here. So this is where all of our website design, this is our homepage. Again, everything's drag and drop here. Really just worked off of those grayscale files, just had the designer. And usually what I'll do too, if you guys are starting from scratch and you're like, yo, I don't even know what colors we want, what fonts, when you hire your designer, tell them, say, hey, look, I want you to come up with 5 different font patterns, one for the headline with subtext. I want you to come up with 10 different color. I need a main color, an action color, and I need a secondary color, right? So these are things that you can tell them, they submit them to you, approve them, right? You got to think about like the full design product. And then once this is done, so like the way the developer works is they come in here, every developer, they literally just export this stuff and just will build it into whatever platform that. So that's the full design process. Does anybody have any questions on the design process here and open this up to a Q&A? Anything else I can share? Figma, I did kind of zoom through it, drop questions now specifically about the design process because I only have 8 hard stop.